My name is Mark Harrison. I am a youth worker at St Indian's Church in Gateshead. Why youth work, you may ask? Why Gateshead, you may ask? My journey is somewhat complicated. I didn't walk into a church until I was 28. I wasn't involved in church at all, and I'd lived a life of a teenager who was involved in lots of things probably I shouldn't have been involved in. I was working in a garage, and somebody at the garage says, well, I think they realised I wasn't kind of doing so good, and they said, well, why don't you come along to church? And I thought, why don't I come along to church? Well, there's the list of the reasons why I don't come along to church. So we kind of looked at them all, and she says, well, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be accepted in the church. Come along. So I said, okay, I'll come once with you. So I picked her up once in the morning, and we went along to our local church. And as soon as I walked through the doors, I felt different. I felt something. I couldn't tell you exactly what it was. I just felt something. I felt kind of maybe a peace, or I felt as though it was the right place. I don't know exactly what it was. But from there, I decided, okay, I'll maybe give that a go. So I went back on the night time, and then went back on the following week, and then I started to go by myself. Didn't need somebody to come with me, and within a month, I really felt as though I was in the right place. Now, within a couple of months, there was some children's work going on at the church I was visiting, and one of the ladies says, "Well, Mark, why don't you come and give me a hand?" So I said, "Oh, I'm a big lad, and if I stand on a young person or a child, they'll stay stood on. I don't really be kind of anywhere kind of close to them." So, well, come along and move some chairs and some tables, because that would be good for me. I said, okay, no problem, I can do that for you. So I started to do that. So within 3 months, I started to talk to the children, and I had my own little group in there. And within 6 months, she'd left, and they were looking out for somebody to lead the children youth work. So I reluctantly said, okay, I'll give it a go, and that's really how I started. That's how I started my youth and children's work ministry. I felt as though, this might be something that's kind of got a hold of my heart, and how can I progress this? And I pushed some doors, some didn't open, and then one did open, to be a coordinator of a gap year program for youth workers in Gateshead. And that came with some work at Durham University, some study at Durham University. So I applied for that, and God was gracious enough for me to be offered that job. And from there, I started off various kind of bits of youth work here. I'm not going to lie, funding is always a difficult kind of area for people who work or live by faith. It's sometimes tough. You never know, kind of in 6 months or a year where you're going to be. A youth and community job came up here in Gateshead. Not a specifically Christian organisation, although we had a Christian ethos, and it was 15 hours a week, and the idea was to come and finish the project well. That was 8 years ago. From those 15 hours, I looked around and saw some children, and I thought we should be able to do some work with some children here. So my colleague Sarah, she's great fundraising, so she started writing some funding bids. We now sit here in Gateshead, and we've got 3 different projects. We've got a staff of 14, all full-time, and we work in the heart of our local estates here in central Gateshead. That still gives me some time. My wife says not a lot of time, but some time to do some extra work, focusing mainly on children and faith, because the work at Edward's House isn't a Christian organisation, though I feel as though in my heart it's where God's put me to do what I do here, to work with children and young people and families, because that's what God's called me to do in the place where God's called me to do it. The youth work at St Indian's, and at the moment I'm doing 10 hours there. So I run a 4 o'clock service, a family friendly service, and then our youth group, and then word goes around, doesn't it? So the Salvation Army Hall, they employ me as well for 6 hours a week to run an after school club for them, and a youth alpha as well. So that's kind of what I do, that's who I am, and that's kind of why I do it. Because I've got this call on my heart, this pull on my heart for I want to give back to God because He's brought me through so much, you know. A wise man once said to me, um, and he said, Mark, look what God's blessing and go with it. So if I'm going to leave you with something, have a look at in your life or in your church, see what God's blessing. And if He's blessing it, jump on board and go with it, because that's what He wants.